Alright, what's up going on, guys? It's K right here. I'm back with another good live stream today. I'm gonna probably just make my little live stream, and then I'm gonna transfer over to Instagram and do the same thing. I like always doing like these little anonymous or these random boxing streams whenever I feel bored. I'm going to make the argument of why I believe Canelo Alvarez boxing fans are probably one of the dumbest people on earth. Um, it just doesn't make any sense why they even talk, and I really do believe they have a mental health issue when it comes to boxing itself. But then again, I could be wrong. Like I think honestly, like Canelo fans are pretty stupid, and you know I think it's, for one, it's political favoritism by what Canelo does in his own right to pick and choose opponents to make himself the quote unquote pound for pound greatest fighter ever since sliced bread. It's really mentally retarded, and it does not make him a better fighter. Like, Canelo is probably one of the only Mexican fighters that I probably even know, like, that has ever brought themselves to the biggest stage in boxing, that has never fought the best. And this is a guy that doesn't have any amateur experience. Canelo basically went into the pros at 15 years old, beat up grown ass men, nobodies out of Mexico, probably just, tomato can fighters, just to get himself situated. And then once he finally came to the US, he had to get the help of Floyd Mayweather, or he had to go through the likes of fighting on the undercards of Floyd Mayweather, leading to him getting a possible fight with him, which Floyd Mayweather said to him, "If you want to come to me, you have to go through these two guys, aka Austin Trout and Erislandy Lara." So if you take a look at those fights alone, Canelo has struggled against step up fights. He does not like American style fighters. He does not like fighters that give him problems and fighters that can move and hit him at unconventional spots. Canelo is probably only good when it comes to using ring IQ to break a man down when he's face to face with you. I repeat, when he's face to face with you. But when Canelo gets hit and he cannot move to keep up with a guy that knows how to hit and be slick on the defensive end, it is a nightmare for Canelo. That is why guys like Jamal Charlo, Demetrius Andrade, I say David Benavidez, he's up there. His defense is definitely underrated in the sense of, like, it may seem like he's getting hit, but David Benavidez, he uses defense when necessary, when a fight does get a little bit tough. But when we even look at Caleb Plant, he has fucking amazing defense. But the only weakness I see out of Caleb Plant is probably just dealing with pressure. See, now, I'm not saying Canelo, he's a shit fighter. Well, actually, no. Scratch that. Canelo is a shit fighter, because Canelo, he got destroyed by Floyd Mayweather, a guy past his fucking prime at 36 years old, which Canelo, he was a world champion at 154, and Canelo had like 40 plus fights, just as many fights as Deontay Wilder has right now. So what does that mean for Canelo? Canelo was too green fighting Floyd Mayweather? No, the fuck he wasn't. He had all the advantages over Floyd. He had height. Well, no, I think Floyd is like 5'7". Yeah, so Canelo, he had to been 5'8". So Canelo had a little bit of height advantage. I'm not so sure about like the reach. I think the reach, Floyd edged him out, but Canelo had size. He had the ability to break Floyd down using his ring IQ, right? Like at that point he should have been, smart enough to break Floyd down and knock him out. But no, Floyd basically beat the shit out of him. He basically made Canelo scared, pushed his ass back like he was some little Barbie doll, and literally just smacked Canelo out of existence. And honestly, It's very disrespectful for Canelo fans to say that Canelo wasn't ready to fight Floyd and he was too green in his career. How the fuck can you say that you're green in your career when you're a fucking world champion at 23 years old and you were in like the best shape of your life? Floyd Mayweather had the worst performances and a worse version of Floyd still beat the living crap out of Canelo. How can you tell me Canelo is pound for pound number one when he gets his ass whooped by a grandpa version of Floyd Mayweather? And I will give you that answer. The question that needs to be answered with this question is simply that Canelo, he does not want to fight guys with slick style, slick defensive efforts that makes him psychologically confused and defeated. When Canelo fights a guy like that, similar to Floyd's style, he gets his ass beat every single night. The way Canelo looked like in his last 3 fights against Billy Joe Saunders or Billy Ho Saunders, leading into Caleb Smith and Avni Yildirim, he looked shit in every single fucking fight. Prior to the Floyd loss, Canelo has never gotten better. These so-called notable victories he's had over Erislandy Lara and Triple G and who else? Fucking, I don't even know, like Miguel Cotto and Shane Mosley. These are all fucking these are all fucking fighters that, were past their fucking prime, and the only good fights that you really had was probably the Triple G fight and the Lara fight. And Lara beat the shit out you. And Triple G was, he was washing Canelo. He made Canelo absolutely scared when he started hitting Canelo to the body, started throwing these mean left hooks right to his dome. Canelo did not want any piece of Triple G after the second fight. Even in the first fight, Canelo got extremely, extremely cautious with keeping his chin high. He kept his chin low, and then he just basically wanted to throw defensive trades, which didn't even help him because Canelo, he didn't really apply pressure to Triple G, and Triple G just basically just kept walking right in front of him. And granted, you can say oh, Triple G did the same thing because Canelo was throwing some mean hits onto him, and Triple G, he kind of looked a bit hurt, but no, he really wasn't. Triple G and Canelo stylistically matched well, but Triple G was whooping Canelo. Triple G had all the tools in the bag to break Canelo down and possibly knock him out. But guess what? Everyone tries to say Canelo, he got all this knockout power. Really? When he faced a guy in Triple G, or even Caleb Smith, did he knock him out? No, he never knocked him out because, one, Canelo does not have this so-called power to actually hurt somebody. Canelo actually has to use some form of a body enhancement drug, aka clenbuterol, which he's been caught on it, and he probably is still taking it till this day. Canelo does not have this almighty power. We've seen him hurt before. We saw Canelo hurt by Miguel Cotto's brother. Hey, remember that? When Miguel Cotto's brother was hitting him to the body, and he basically almost got stopped. But good enough, Canelo, he had some ring IQ to hold on. And then I'm not so sure if he knocked out his brother or won by decision, but either way, Cotto's brother gave him some really mean hands. And the Floyd Mayweather fight, Floyd Mayweather, even in his worst version of him, he was hitting Canelo with these crazy effing uppercuts and just a mean, slick jab. Canelo was being completely careless on defense, kept getting hit, basically tried to make it seem like he was going to walk Floyd down. No, he didn't even do any of that. He basically just got pushed back more and more and more, and then when Floyd hit him with that mean left hook, Canelo got hurt. That showed that Canelo does not like facing guys with slick style. Even in Lara hurt him badly. If you see the counters that Canelo leaves himself wide open for, Canelo is not good at defense. Everyone wants to say he is good at defense. Then why the fuck does he get touched up? Why did he get touched up by Billy Ho Saunders? Can someone please explain that to me? Can someone explain to me that Canelo Alvarez has this almighty defense, this almighty power, when he cannot knock out guys that have never been stopped? He could not knock out Billy Joe Saunders. He did not even knock him out. The referee had to call it off. Or more so, the corner had to call it off because of the ring doctor came over, and then come to find out, Billy claimed to say that he broke his eye, his orbital eye bone. You know, like, fucking UK fighters are effing trash anyway, 9 times out of 10 for most of them. But it's just like, Canelo does not have this power. He does not do these super monstrous things that makes him just fucking invincible. Canelo is the biggest cherry picking pussy out of all of boxing. And if you're going to tell me as a Canelo fan that he is the greatest ever since fucking who? Since fucking Juan Manuel Marquez, or since Eric Morales, since all these other Mexicans, that is totally fucking false. Oscar De La Hoya in his prime would beat the shit out of Canelo. I'm just using that as a prime example. Canelo is not better than Oscar De La Hoya. Canelo is not better than, Juan Manuel Marquez. Canelo is not better than Francisco Vargas. He's not better than all these other Mexican legends that have come up in the sport that actually work their asses off just to get to the big stage. And what does Canelo have to offer? He says fuck you to all that. He does not want to fight Charlo. He does not want to fight Andrade. And I mean, if he gets pressured by Charlo and Andrade in the future, Canelo is going to be forced to fight them, similar to what Lara had to do to go inside the ring, respectfully call his ass out face to face. And then Canelo, he got pressured, and then Canelo had no choice but to fight Lara, because if he didn't choose to fight him, Canelo would be hated by a shitload of Mexican media and Mexican people that actually, probably would have witnessed that earlier. And I think that if Andre had did it at that time too, Canelo would have easily lost his popularity, and publicity would have been bad for him. So the only reason why Canelo is able to just walk away with all this bullshit is simply just because that we, the fans, the true boxing fans, are not pushing for this fight enough, and Canelo is not being pressured enough, where the walls are closing in faster. But the walls are closing in. Canelo is losing credibility, but I guess the $1 million question is, when is Canelo going to go through that same phase with Lara, with Andrade and Charlo, and David Benavidez? These guys cannot be fucking letting Canelo get away with it. I think, honestly, Charlo and Andrade and Benavidez, they should all just team up to gang up on Canelo and basically call his ass out. I think it makes all the sense in the world, and I think Canelo, he's going to be dominated one day, which I really hope he does, because Canelo, he's not a good fighter. Canelo is the biggest shithead in boxing and will always be remembered as a shithead, cherry picker, and a ducker in boxing. You cannot tell me that Canelo is the best when he does not choose to fight the best. It's a similar situation with Terrence Bud Crawford, so why the hell does Canelo get a pass? So, I'm just making it clear that Canelo Alvarez is not the best fighter, and if any of y'all want to fuck with me, look, hit me up. I will be open to debate any single one of you Mexican idiots, because you guys are not, honest, and you guys are just emotionally invested. Canelo, if he was Puerto Rican, I would literally flame the shit out of him, like I would do with, Edgar Berlanga. There's a reason why I'm not liking Berlanga as of lately, because he's not doing anything right for the sport of boxing when it comes to fighting contemporaries. Yeah, you fought Damon Nicholson. He's a good fighter. I respect him, but you should have been fighting Kevin Newman, in which you called out. You came to him. He didn't come to. He didn't come to you. He didn't talk all this shit. Prior to that, situation with you and him and David Flat Sparks. But either way, let the argument's sake is just for that. Berlanga, he's basically being pressured by his own community to fight the best, and he will most likely have to fight tougher competition after that good performance victory, or decent performance victory, against Damon Nicholson. But I would hope he fights guys like Kevin Newman, which I think he will. And then leading up to the future, Berlanga is probably going to fight a top 50 super middleweight. Who knows? Or top 25. I think Berlanga is definitely more disciplined, and he's more dedicated to listen to his fans compared to Canelo, where Canelo, he doesn't care about fighting the best, and he's going to stay, stay on this fucking brainwashed train of Canelo idiots. That's really what I call them. I just call them Canelo slaves. That's really who they are. They're not Mexican fans. They're just man fans. They're basically dick riding, slave induced incels that follow Canelo on some fucking, retarded religious bullshit to say Canelo's such a good fighter when clearly this guy has fought 3 fucking bums in a matter of a couple months. And it's simply just because that David Benavidez, he got his belt stripped from the WBC when he missed weight prior to fighting Alexis Angulo. So Canelo thought, hey, I'm going to just take advantage of this because 168 is basically open for me to get the title, and everything works well into my favor. So that's why, that's why Canelo basically took advantage of that, because he knew that, okay, well, I can easily just, get this belt, beat Avni Yildirim, then go ahead and fight Caleb Plant, or, beat Caleb Smith for the 168 belt, beat Avni Yildirim, and then beat Billy Ho Saunders. And then it just makes it easier for him to cycle his way out of 168 when, let's just say if he does beat Caleb Plant, which I highly disagree with people that think that Caleb Plant's gonna get stomped by Canelo. I think Caleb is going to make Canelo basically frustrated even more, and he's gonna hit him with some really good shots that's going to just, outpace Canelo and make him basically slower compared to what you saw about like, I'm not saying like his last fight was any good against Caleb Truex, because he did say he broke his hand, but if it's any similar to, I would say, the Uzcategui fight, where he's a lot more disciplined, and he's not going to get hit as much, and he's actually going to fight a really intelligent fight. I think Caleb is definitely on his way, because I don't see how Caleb does not get that opportunity to showcase his true talents, and he's not going to let Canelo just beat him up for a paycheck. He's going to give Canelo a fight of his life. And I think, the way I look at Caleb, he's a great southpaw. Or no, I think he's an orthodox, I'm sorry. But he's just so, technically gifted. And if Caleb sticks on his P's and Q's, that should be an easy win for Caleb. But, the tables can turn, and it is boxing. So I think it's a 60-40 Canelo's way if Canelo does get Caleb at the right spot of hitting him and beating him down, which I think it's basically a death wish for Canelo, because Canelo is probably just overlooking Billy, or he's overlooking Caleb, and that could be a fight that could be a hit or miss for him, or it could be a bad night, against him. And I think if Caleb uses those blueprints that Floyd Mayweather did to Canelo, he could easily dominate Canelo and in a devastating fashion. So I hope Caleb Plant can defeat Canelo. And if Canelo does have balls to still stay at 168, then David Benavidez better kill him inside that ring. And then if not, then Jamal Charlo, and then the rest of the guys that Canelo has been avoiding for quite the longest. So, yeah, that's pretty much what I got to say. Fuck Canelo Alvarez and fuck his fans. You guys are mentally retarded. And I'll see y'all later. Thank you. Bye.